Welcome to Off Topic with Tim and Matt, our scrappy little sports show with pregnant pauses where we always go off topic. All right. Major League Baseball, there's a few things going on. My Jays are actually doing quite well. There's all-star voting. But I think the big news is coming out of your LA Dodgers, what's going on less with baseball and more with the sort of volatile political situation involving immigration, customs, and enforcement. Now, it started with the woman, Vanessa Hernandez, who goes by the stage name of Naza, singing the national anthem in Spanish. And what's going on there?
Well, it started before that, Tim. Let's be honest here. ICE has been doing a lot of raids and
in LA.
In LA, well, nationwide. They've been doing it. So one of the big things that came in the political theater was they wanted the government to be harder on immigration.
Yes.
Illegal immigration, to be specific.
Undocumented
people in the country. And so what the current administration has done is come at it very visibly, very loudly. So one of the presidents that did the best job with dealing with undocumented immigration was Barack Obama.
Yeah.
People do not realize that he had deported illegal immigrants the most.
Yes.
Because he did it quietly with tact.
Yes.
Right? And because he did it quietly with tact, he had a high number, but not the visibility that people wanted to see.
Yes.
So where he went in like a lamb, right? The new administration has come in with a sledgehammer.
Yes.
And they're making it very loud, very vocal. And what happened was there was 3 raids conducted in unison in the Los Angeles area where they went into stores that were employing illegal immigrants and cooking the books for tax reasons and employment reasons. Right. And ICE hit all 3 of them at the same time. Someone made a phone call. People showed up to protest. It got out of hand. Federal officials were getting attacked. Things thrown at them. Federal property was being burned.
Yeah.
Right. And the governor of California and the mayor of Los Angeles didn't do anything about it. The police stayed back, right? And just sort of controlled the crowds as opposed to putting a stop to it.
Yes.
So the new administration said, well, we're taking control. And they've come in with a big sledgehammer.
Yeah. Now, just so we're clear, Gary Newsom and the mayor of Los Angeles appreciated what was going on. This is not the first time there's been protests in LA.
No.
And so they know from experience that you have to be very, very careful with this because gasoline can hit that fire and things can really get out of control.
And that's where it got.
And that's where it got. So Gary Newsom as governor of California, and I don't know the mayor of...
Gavin Newsom, sorry.
Yeah. And then the mayor of
Bass.
LA, I don't know the person's name.
Her last name's Bass. I think it's Marjorie Bass. But
so it wasn't as bad as the original protests weren't quite as bad as people were making them out to be.
No.
And LAPD was saying on their social media, hey man, look, you guys are protesting. You're doing fine. Thank you for not getting too violent. Like, we're just going to keep this under wraps. You know, ICE showed up, did all these raids. People started texting their friends, hey, ICE is here. What's going on? And then all of a sudden they got sick and tired of it.
It got ugly fast.
But it wasn't, sides. But they're throwing rocks at the ICE guys, but they weren't going after LAPD because LAPD was like, okay, hey man, don't throw those rocks. Come on. Let's keep this cool. And then, of course, Trump went in and brought in the National Guard and the Marines, and which constitutionally he's sort of allowed to do, but you sort of don't do. And that's when things really escalated. So in the middle of this, there was a Dodger game. And Vanessa Hernandez, chose to sing the national anthem in Spanish.
Right.
Which there is a Spanish version that was written in 1942 under FDR.
Yeah.
So this is not new.
Yeah.
There is a Spanish version of the Star Spangled Banner.
Yep.
And there's been a few instances in the history of Major League Baseball. What was that guitar player? The blind guitar player. He sat down and he did it in a different language. I'm gonna hate myself. I can't remember his name. But anyway, this is not the first time someone's taken the Star Spangled Banner and done the Spanish version or done a different version.
Or we sing the Canadian anthem in French.
In French, right?
Yeah.
So this is nothing new. But in with everything going on in LA, this was a much bigger statement than just a language issue.
Yes.
And people looked at the Dodgers and said, oh, they didn't say anything. There's rumors she was supposed to do it. She did it anyway. Someone told her not to. She did it anyway. No one said anything. No one said she couldn't do it. But the Dodgers did not, to their credit, did not make this a political issue.
No.
They just, she sang the anthem. It's just an anthem.
Yep.
They took a step back. And, you can read between lines and silence says a few words. But then ICE showed up. And what happened?
So backpedal just a little bit.
Okay.
Nezza did the anthem in Spanish.
Yes.
It was brilliant. People were in tears. It was absolutely brilliant out there. She then left after the game. She left the stadium, went on TikTok, and did a video where she said that she was told that she was supposed to do it in English, but she did it in Spanish anyways.
Yeah.
And now she's not allowed back in Dodger Stadium.
Right.
So I watched the video, and the video turns on where there's another girl telling her, we're going to do it in English. I don't know if that was relayed to you. Right. And the video turns on at that point.
Yes.
Right. And then she's doing this little talk afterwards where she was told she had to do it in English, and now she's not allowed back in the stadium. Well, the Dodgers were like, well, that wasn't one of our employees. We have no issue with her. We think she did a great job. She's welcome back whenever she wants.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm not going back anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So I think she did an excellent job. She stood up. She did a beautiful rendition. She really led to the movement that's going on down there at this time. But then she tried to make it that the Dodgers were a bad guy.
Yeah.
Right. And this is where people are saying the Dodgers haven't said anything. Now, the Dodgers, and let's take the Dodgers out of it, most sports teams remain apolitical.
Yes.
They do not say anything as a team because you have so many different people on the field, in the clubhouses, in the offices with differing political opinions on how things are and what's going on, that as a club to say something in support of one direction alienates another direction.
Yeah.
Right? And they're not there to be the moral police.
No.
They're there to put on a sports and entertainment event.
Who was the guy in the San Francisco 49ers that wore a MAGA hat after a game one day?
Bosa.
Nick Bosa did that, and it caused a huge. Everyone was like, "Don't bring that in." Like, it doesn't belong on the field. Like, it polarizes, and it's not healthy for a team.
What the team does is they allow the players to support political beliefs.
Whatever you
Black
want.
Lives Matters.
Yeah.
Right?
What do you
no
want to
problem. 49ers with that MAGA hat.
Yeah.
They said that's his political belief. You leave him alone.
Yeah.
That's his. He can go take care of it.
Yeah.
That's not ours.
Yeah.
Right? That's his. And I think that's the smart way to do it when you're dealing with you got to think that there's at least 1,000 Dodgers employees.
At least.
And there's going to be varying opinions on every political matter. So for them to get involved in the political arena is irresponsible to all their employees.
Yeah.
Because once you start picking sides, you're alienating the other sides.
That's right.
Right? So for them to just focus on what they're doing, and then that's putting an entertainment piece on the field, is the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
But
however,
then the other day, buddies at the security shack at Dodger Stadium, where you got to come in to go up to the parking, and some cars pull up. And they wanted to use it as a staging area. And there was an ICE agent there, but it was actually Customs and Border Protection, CBP, that were in the vans.
Okay.
The Customs and Border Protection.
Yeah.
Were in the vans. And they wanted to use it as a staging area because they had some detainees that they had to process. I read after the fact that it was actually human trafficking.
Okay.
And they had in the vans, they had people that were doing the human trafficking and being trafficked.
Okay.
And they wanted to get it all sorted out, get a big open place, park their vans, set up their tents, get it all sorted out. People off to get help that need it, people to be processed that didn't need it.
Yeah.
But the Dodgers, sticking to their gun, said, no, you cannot do that here.
Yeah.
But because the ICE agent, the guy with the ICE jacket on, got spotted, text messages went out, people showed up. So by the time they got turned around to leave, there was a big protest in front of them.
There you go.
And now they're stuck there. But they're doing their job. And their job, when you talk about CBP, Customs Border Protection, you're talking about human trafficking and drugs coming into the country. Those are the two big things that they deal with, right? Which are two big issues that are out there. So because it involves immigration and customs, you also have ICE. These are the two departments that work under the Department of Homeland Security. So you got these guys are doing their job, which, if you ask me, is getting drugs and human trafficking off the street is a great fucking job.
It is.
Pardon my language.
Yeah,
Pardon my
it
language.
is. But
I've the whole ICE conversation. I'm not going to go there,
right?
Because I'll offend people and I'll support people all at the same time. But this is a great job that these guys are doing, and what they are trying to do there. But Dodger Stadium isn't the place to do it.
No.
It is not the place to do it. Dodger Stadium has allowed their parking lot to be used in the past by LAPD to do drug raids.
Yes.
They've allowed their parking lot in the past to be used for, what do you call that? Not survivors, but people coming in from Syria. Remember, like they had all the
refugees.
Refugees. They had tents set up for refugee processing, the whole 9 yards. They've allowed it to be used, but they were not going to allow it to be used in this environment by Department of Homeland Security because they knew the issues it would cause in the community.
Yeah.
Right. So Buddy at the gate was told no. Buddy at the gate said no. Protesters showed up. Custom Border Protection standing there, and they got out of their car. They're like, "Hey, we're here. We got a job to do."
Yeah.
Right? Police got in the middle of them. Luckily, within about a couple hours, it died down and the games went on.
Yeah.
Now, here's where the Dodgers kind of got stumbled. That night, they were going to announce initiatives that they were planning for immigrant communities.
Yes.
Right? Because they were going to put some money into these immigrant communities, give tickets away, give stuff away, right? Do a bunch of stuff. They then had to pull that off the agenda for that night.
Yeah.
Because of everything that went on beforehand. When it first came out, it was Dodgers are letting ICE use their parking lot, right? And that's when it first came out, was that Dodgers were letting them. And then everybody showed up and they realized, the Dodgers said no to them.
Yes.
Right? So, and I think the first thing that people thought were that they were going there to do a raid at Dodger Stadium.
That was my impression.
Yeah. That's,
that was my impression.
It could have gotten really ugly really fast. But you had this one guy in the one little security booth at
the clip-on tie.
Yeah, that's people in to go park, right?
He's got the walkie-talkie.
Yeah, and his Segway, and he was like, and he stopped this whole thing from escalating by saying, "No, we don't do that here."
Yeah,
and I really take my hat off to him. He didn't say you guys are bad, piss off. He
just said, "Sorry, you're not." Yeah,
we don't do that here, right? If it's going to happen where it's something like with refugees and all that.
Keep in mind, it doesn't sound like Border Patrol and ICE contacted the Dodgers and said, "Hey, can we please use your parking lot?" And they said, "Sure." And then this one lone guy in a clip-on tie and a flashlight and a walkie-talkie said, "No, we don't do that." Yeah. I don't think they just said, "Hey, they showed up.
Yeah,
the day of and said, "We need some space. Can we use yours?" He's like, "No, you can't do that." So there's a bit of a difference, and you have to remember too, the Dodgers with El Toro.
Fernandez.
What was his name?
Fernandez.
What was his first name?
You're killing me now.
I don't want to say Tony Fernandez. That's not right. Google it.
Oh, Fernandez.
Anyway, there were some issues around the Spanish American community and Dodgers because when they went over to Chavez Ravine, and then El Toro.
Oh, for crying out loud! Why can't I remember?
This is embarrassing. Pitcher. Fernando
Valenzuela.
Valenzuela. Oh my God, it's embarrassing.
He's one of my favorites of all time.
So Fernando Valenzuela came in the late 70s, early 80s,
Yeah.
and he was from Mexico, and now the Spanish-American community has embraced the Dodgers. And that's a big community that supports the LA Dodgers. So the Dodgers really have to put an arm's length and a half between this everything going down and ice and just try and keep out of it as much as they can, because it will really hurt their brand. I mean, it's more of a...
It's not about hurting their brand. It's about being morally correct. I mean...
Well, it's this is their business model. This is like the Spanish-American community goes to baseball games.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal. And they cannot lose that. Like, that's a lot of seats.
Yeah.
And they built a lot of bridges over the years, and those bridges burn pretty quick. So...
Well, and that's the thing that bothers me about the whole Neza video.
Yeah.
Right? Is because the Dodgers give so much back. They have many specific days that give to the different ethnic communities in the Los Angeles region, because there's lots of them.
Yeah, they have Spanish-American radio. Fernando Valenzuela would broadcast on the Spanish-American radio.
Exactly.
For the Dodger games. Yeah.
They got Korean night. They got Japanese night. They got, they try and all of the ethnic communities in there, the Dodgers really cater to. They're really good in the community. They're really ingrained in the Los Angeles model. So the thing that bothered me is the uneducation of a lot of people that get on the internet.
Yeah.
Because when I was reading this, I go down in the comments, which I know I shouldn't do. Stay out of the comments, Matt. It's bad for your mental health. Then you start talking about the history of Chavez Ravine, on how all these people got thrown out for them to build Dodger Stadium. And we talked about this before.
We did.
Where the city of Los Angeles did eminent domain and retook all of Chavez Ravine to build tenement housing, right? And then with a change of leadership in the city, they stopped that project, and it was sitting vacant when it was sold to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I mean, and there was the deal that was done that the Dodgers got the land for really cheap to develop, and that other things could happen there, and they do other things in the parking lot. You do an aerial picture of the parking lot. The thing's massive, right?
Yes.
But here's what happened. They go up, the DHS goes up to the gate A, right? And they say no. They circle back. They went over to gate E, right? Where you can get into the parking lot, but they just pulled over to gate E. They did their separation of the criminals and the victims over there. And they were getting ready to leave when the protesters showed up at gate E. And that's when the police got involved and everything too. So they actually used a piece of the parking lot, like the entryway to the parking lot, to do what they needed to do. And it really bugs me that if it was somebody that stopped a human trafficker and was rescuing victims, like that, it bugs me that didn't get more play on the radio.
Sure, but it's right now it's extremely volatile.
Yeah.
And it's a really thin line between who is getting trafficked and who the traffickers are. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of misinformation and guys getting deported that should have been deported that are being claimed to be trafficking people when maybe that's not the case. So it's just the situation's really ugly. And the Dodgers did the right thing by saying we're not getting involved. And the whole Spanish anthem thing, I liked it. I thought she did a good job. The fans loved it.
And I think, you know what? I think it should be a regular thing, especially in that environment. I mean, I was watching this comedian the other night, and he was talking about Mexicans in California. Yeah. Right? And he's like, they've been there forever. Yeah. Because you know what? It used to be Mexico. They didn't jump the border jumped them, And I was kind of laughing at it because he's not wrong. You get a lot of people whose families have been there forever. Yeah. Right? And they've been living in California. Maybe they don't have the right paperwork, right? But they've never left that area. No.
Somebody put a funny post because I can't imagine people so worried about everybody in Los Angeles, San Fernando, San Francisco, Mateo, San Bernardino speaking Spanish. Oh my God. Right? But okay. That's Diego, Los Angeles. Yeah. Those are Spanish words. So
I know. And I mean, you go down there. I go down there quite regularly. I'm a big LA sports fan. I'm a big Disneyland guy. Love it down there. And I love the interactions with the Latino community down there. They are so helpful. They are so gracious. They are just very, very wonderful people to be around.
Warm. Yeah.
Very warm people, very caring people. The food's phenomenal. We used to go to San Diego to go to Old Town.
Oh yeah.
And every restaurant would have a griddle out front with an elderly Mexican lady making fresh tortillas for a quarter. Three for a quarter. It's like, hold up my quarter, get my tortilla.
I go to Oakland to visit my aunt. That's the first reason. The second reason are the taco trucks. So good.
So good.
So good.
So, I mean, it's the whole, can we just get along thing.
Yeah.
But then you start looking at like, and I don't like getting into politics. I'm a very central person.
Yeah.
I know you don't see a lot of it, but I'm a very central person.
Yeah.
And whereas I'm like, can we all just get along and live in harmony together? Yes. Yeah. But countries have rules for coming in and leaving, right? And for coming in, there's steps you're supposed to follow.
They are.
And if you don't, then you get in trouble, right? And you get all these people that are following the steps and waiting to come in. But then you got people sneaking in and trying to hide and stay in. And it's a big deal when they get caught and sent back.
Yeah.
Right? But what about the people that are sitting here waiting to get in and doing it right?
It's very complicated.
It's such a gray area.
In Canada, we're spoiled. We have ocean, Arctic, the U.S.
Yeah.
And if some of you remember, there were ships from China landing on our shores back in the late 90s, and everybody freaked out. Send them back, blah, 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 blah. I don't like the conservatives in this country under, I think it was Stockwell Day in an election. One of their election vows was, we're going to crack down on illegal immigration to Canada, because it happens here too, and it can be a problem. The Ontario Construction Association turned around and said, go ahead and do that, but just so you know, that's going to shut us down.
Yeah.
So people come across the border. They're not criminals per se. They're leaving, really horrible situations in the Mexicos and the Guatemalas and the Venezuelas and that sort of thing. But what they don't really talk about is it's kind of the backbone of the U.S. economy. They come across and they do the jobs nobody else wants to do. And there's a lot of landscaping companies. Home Depot got busted for,
people up front. Yeah.
People up front. There's you go to a restaurant, the people washing the dishes, preparing the food, a lot of them are undocumented.
Yeah.
They come across, and it's a problem because it's tens of thousands of people every single day pouring across the border.
Yes.
And if you remember in this country during the oil and gas boom in Alberta had the same problem with people from Canada or Canadian citizens flooding to Alberta, 14,000 people a year pouring in. Yep. Like tens of thousands of people are pouring into Alberta every single day, and they were getting overwhelmed. Yeah. So it's an overwhelming problem. I mean, they got to eat somewhere, they got to sleep. There's infrastructure, there's healthcare, there's education. There's a need for them because there's not enough people to do the work. Yeah. And it's the kind of work that nobody else wants to do. I work at a slaughterhouse here in town, and we go through the foreign workers program. Yeah. It's all legal. It's all above board. Costs the company a lot of money, but we bring people in from Jamaica and the Philippines and Romania, and they come and work with us. I don't care. They show up every day. Yeah. I've been there over 11 years, or just coming up to 11 years, and I've seen a lot of people come and go in that place, and the guys that look like me don't last. No. They show up, and they last for one day, the work's too hard, and they go home. The other people that come in from, the Romanias and the Philippines, they stay. Yeah. And they show up. They're not perfect. They make mistakes. I'm not perfect either. Some last, some don't. For the most part, they're at work every single day. And there's companies they're not bad people, but they need people to work. Mm-hmm. And they need guys to come and do stuff. And sometimes the people that come over the border undocumented are the only ones left to hire. And God love them, they show up to work every single day. Well, and it's a very messy, complicated issue. And I don't disagree with you that there's people going through the right channels, paying lawyers, to get in, documented and do what they can to get here, and they're sort of getting pushed aside. You're some poor kid living in Mexico, and there's nothing for you in Mexico other than the gangs. You don't have any money for a lawyer. How are you going to get a lawyer? But you can pay a coyote to get you across. They're not bad people. It's complicated and it's messy. Messy. Yeah. That's a huge term. I mean, and I agree with you. I mean, I remember as a kid growing up out in Maple Ridge, in the summers, we'd go to the berry fields. Yeah. As kids, there'd be a ton of us kids. Yeah.
12 to 14 years old. They can't get a job at a gas station, want to make some extra cash. And we pick berries for the summer.
Yeah.
And a lot of the berry fields out there depended on us.
Yeah.
Right. And then so years later, I'm talking to some friends that I know that do berry stuff.
Yeah.
And they're doing that foreign workers program to bring people from Mexico up here because kids don't want to do that anymore.
It's hard.
Parents don't want to drop their kids off at the berry field and leave them there for the day in the hot sun, picking berries for $3 a bushel. Yeah. Right? Like they don't want to do it. But it has to be done because they got fruit rotting on the vine. Yeah. That needs to get to the store.
Well, right? Abbotsford, I know there's a lot of the Indo-Canadian community works at a lot of the farms, the mushroom farms, the berry picking. These are the jobs nobody else wants to do. And, again, it's not just, the kids just don't want to do it. Families are a lot smaller. And, if you got 10 kids in the Christian family working the dairy farm, well, they're working the dairy farm. Right? Yeah. It's hard to get people to do that. It's tough work. It
wasn't fun, let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you're digging up the blackberry, the thorny blackberry bushels, and you're hacking away with a machete. Yeah. A 12-year-old kid with a machete, things go sideways quick. So
coming up the hill here, down at the corner of Press there, there's the berry field right there. And every Sunday when I'm coming up here, I see the workers out there. Yeah. And they're definitely Latino. Yeah. Right? It's a Latino group working that field. So obviously they've brought people in to work their fields that won't, because they can't get the bodies to do it here.
They can't. Yeah. It's a very complicated. People think it's black and white. It's not. It's 1,000 shades of gray. 100%. It's really tough. 100%. And we don't really have the problem in Canada to the extent they do in the United States. It is tens of thousands of people pouring across that border every single day. And, all of a sudden the Dodgers get dragged into it when they had nothing to do with it in the first place, right?
Right.
And maybe there's some undocumented people selling hot dogs at Dodger Stadium. I don't know. But
they could, you know what? There could be, or there could be fake papers, you know? But here's the thing. Is people need to stop looking to sports and entertainment to be their moral compass.
Yeah, right.
These are guys that play a game or play make-believe for a living. Yeah. They shouldn't be your moral compass. Yeah. Look to your leaders, look to your religion, look to your business leaders, the people that are driving the economies.
Why is it so hard to get into Canada? There's a question, why is it so expensive? Why does it take so long to get into Canada? When, we have an aging population. Yeah. And again, we can say, okay, so how do we get more kids? Well, you have supportive housing and you have free daycare and you have all this money in education. Well, that costs a lot of money. Now your taxes go up. So it's just, it's.
But there's more people paying taxes. They don't go up.
Yeah.
Right? Like you got to, either one hand washes the other.
I know.
We've got space. Yeah. Right? Outside of the big cities.
I live in the prairies. There's a lot of room.
Outside of the big cities, there's space. But people don't want to go to the space. They want to go to the city. That's where the infrastructure is. Yeah. That's where the services
the opportunity is. The
opportunities, right. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe build some more city centers and encourage people to go there.
I don't know.
I don't know. The answer is I do entertainment and I fix computers. That's my life.
There you go.
Right? So when you ask me for my political opinion, you get that and $2 to buy you a coffee at Tim Hortons. There you go.
Actually, it's almost 3 now. Okay, so let's MLB news. The Jays, we're going to go in, are, believe it or not,
are not sucking.
They're not sucking. They had a string of, I think it was 8 straight series they won. Yeah. And there were 8 games above 500. And then they got swept by the Phillies. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. But then they took 2 out of 3 from Arizona. Yeah. Lost the opening game to Chicago, which is like, how did you even do that? And then they won the next game, and if they play, they're probably on the field right now, so I don't even know what the score is.
So it was funny because they were 8-2, and right now they're 5-5 in their last 10. Yeah. Right? But they're sitting at 41-35. They're 6 games above 500. They're definitely
3 games back.
Yeah, 3 games back at first. Yeah. So if you go by league, I think they're sitting like 4th, 5th.
So they're competing for the wild card spot.
They're sitting 5th in the American League, so they're in a wild card spot.
And the reason, bring up the catcher Alejandro Kirk.
Alejandro,
He is hitting a ton. Like he's always been a good catcher. People, the things he does as a catcher is the stuff that don't show up in the stat sheet. And he's been one of the top catchers in the league for the past several years.
311, 7 home runs, 34 RBIs, 780 on base percentage.
He's killing it. He's had some. They lost to the Chicago White Sox in the opening game, and he went 4 for 5 with a home run and like 3 RBIs.
Yeah,
he's absolutely killing it. And when he first came up, I didn't know anything about him. And all of a sudden, this short, little, pudgy, fat guy steps up to the plate. When I couldn't stop watching him.
Yeah.
Watching him swing was like the coolest thing in the world. He uses every fiber of his being swinging that bat. And the interesting thing about him is how he got discovered. What is he, 5'6"?
5'8", 245 pounds.
5'8", 245 pounds. He's just a short spark plug beast.
Yeah.
And a scout, he got discovered by the Jays at a showcase tournament in Mexico City.
Yes.
So the scout goes down there, and there's another catcher he wanted to see. He was like 6'2", 220, and that typical frame. And
Right.
you can say they look at guys, they look at body types, and okay, you guys stay, you guys don't go.
Yeah.
But he goes down there, that scout, and out of the corner of his eye, he sees a short, chunky guy just warming up. He wasn't even doing anything. He had his catcher gear and he's warming up, and he couldn't take his eyes off him. He's like, why can't I keep watching this guy? And it was just the fluidity of his movement, of his body, was perfectly natural for a catcher, despite being an atypical body type.
Yeah.
And then he comes up to the plate and he goes like 4 for 5, and he's like, this guy, he says he completely forgot the name of the guy he was scouting in the first place, and just could not get his eyes off of Alejandro Kirk. So he goes, he calls up the front office. He goes, you're not gonna believe this. I got a guy here. He's like 5'6". He's short and he's pudgy, and I'm signing him right now. Like, I'm signing him. I'm not letting anybody else grab this guy. I'm going to sign him. And so he gets the green light. He signs him. You sign up for opening day tryouts, and you're signed, and you go either lower A ball or instructional league or whatever. And when opening day started, he called up the guy in charge of training, the coach, said, just so you know, this guy's going to walk in here, and you're going to be like, who the hell is he? You got to trust me on this. Just get him to try out, and you'll understand where I'm coming from. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
He came up really hot, late season call up, cooled off with the bat, struggled a bit, and now has found his stride. I always liked him as a catcher, didn't like him as a hitter, but he's really coming clutch, and he's the big reason there are those 6 games above 500. He's having a great season.
Well, in the last 3 years, because he came in 2020, but only played 9 games.
Yeah.
60 games in 21. But then 2022, he became the everyday
Catcher.
Yeah. And, you look at 285, 250, 253. I mean, he hits well. He's got low strikeouts, 50 or so strikeouts. Home runs, decent, nothing grand. But
You don't have to be, though. You just got to be okay.
50 or so RBIs, but his on base is good too. So I mean, he's 700 on base. So.
And his defensive stats have led the league.
Yes.
Every year.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. Like, as a defensive catcher, the guy is like bang on, man. So good on him. They kept him, and they let Danny Jansen go, and Gabriel Moreno was their top prospect. They traded him with the Dalton Varsho, which was a terrible trade because they got one guy for 2, and they should have gotten like 3 different prospects. But anyway, MLB's All-Star voting has come up, and I don't normally vote, but I went in, I voted for Alejandro Kirk. I have voted for Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero. That's what I did.
Nice.
So yeah,
now this one here is kind of funny.
Dennis Santana.
Pittsburgh pitcher. I don't know if you can grab my screen here, Wayne, but he's taking a swing at a fan. He's about ready. He jumps up here, takes a swing in the right field. Security's trying to hold him back. The fan got thrown out. Supposedly the fan was saying some stuff to him. And no one will say what it was said. He's being very classy and won't say what was said. But to get a pitcher to do that.
To get that angry, man.
To get a baseball player to do that, you've got to have said something bad.
Yeah, and it's apparently he does not have a reputation of having a temper.
Yeah.
He's not a volatile guy.
No.
But somebody said something, man, and it was probably not good. So.
Yeah.
Oof.
So, it was not pretty. I mean, I've sat over to the right field right on went down the Mariners, right at the edge in the right field.
Okay.
And I've catcalled a lot of outfielders and a lot of pitchers coming in. No one's ever taken a swing at me.
No.
And I'm mean. So
Yeah, and
that's
the best ones are the bleacher creatures at Bronx Stadium.
Oh yeah,
The Yankees,
Bob.
Yeah, they are vicious.
Yeah. And it's so funny because they will put it on the clips online when you see the right fielders start laughing because it's just so funny.
Yeah,
where it's fun.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be violence involved in sports.
there's lines you don't cross.
Yeah.
There's lines. I was at a Jays game once. Ricky Henderson was there playing for the A's. And we're all, Ricky, Ricky. And he's like looking over his shoulder, John back at me. And we're all giving him a hard time. And then there's this pitching change. And the first thing Ricky did was walked over to the front row stands.
Yeah.
And the kids come down and he starts signing autographs for everybody.
Yeah,
He's signing balls. And some lady came down and sort of, shoved her way past the little kids and spoke to them about something and shook her hand. I know what they said. Maybe they knew some of the same people or something, but they shook hands and he signed something for her. And then she went, beetling back up all excited to her seat. So yeah, it's supposed to be in good fun, but clearly the line was crossed.
Yeah.
Because when you start taking swings, man,
that's horrible. I mean, and you've seen it before, and there's been situations where you see like a right fielder or a left fielder out there with security pointing.
Yeah.
Right? And the next thing you know, security's dragging that person out of here.
Yes.
That's when racial lines are crossed.
Yeah.
And right away, nobody puts up with that. The fielder doesn't put up with that. They grab security right away. Security, that person's gone.
And the fielder does the right thing. He's like, hey, security, that guy right there.
Yeah.
He's crossing lines. And then the security guard takes care of it. He just snaps.
This was he was
and the tough thing is, ballparks now want to get fans as close to the action as they can in the dugouts and that kind of stuff. So you're right there to see them playing. You can watch them warm up because it's pretty cool to see. I mean, you don't appreciate how fast that ball's going until you're close enough. Like, it's really cooking. And, you cross that line, man.
Oh, I remember in the old King Dome down in Seattle, you could be really close. You're really close, especially in right field. And or left field, and I was there's a New York Yankees had a left fielder, Curtis, and I was giving him the gears all game. And at the end of the game, he got the last out to end the game, and he trots back to the field and he flipped me up the ball.
Oh, there you go, nice.
And he gives me a wave, and I gave him a wave, and off he went. I mean, you can give him the gears. That's right. That's you got some healthy competition.
Yeah,
but don't cross lines.
No,
and
European soccer, they cross the lines, and it's bad. It's bad.
It doesn't need to be racial.
No.
It doesn't need to talk about their sexuality or their parentage or anything like that.
Yeah.
You can have fun without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a friend of mine, guy I've lost touch with, Mike Brown, grew up in Birmingham, and he's an Aston Villa fan.
Yeah.
And there was a player in England, this is probably 30 plus years ago, Sammy Lee. He was the first player to sign like a $1 million contract or something. And he was a short, kind of pudgy guy. And the chant was, he's short, he's round, he's worth £1 million, Sammy Lee. And they would sing this to him. Everybody would sing this. And one game he turns around and says, lost his temper. Oh, yeah. We won't go to European soccer.
No, they get ugly.
That's like, you got nationalists showing up at games.
Oh, they're fighting through the stands and
remember the war in Kosovo? Kosovo Albanians.
Yeah.
A lot of the Kosovo Albanians went to Switzerland and played in the Swiss League. And then they played for Switzerland in the World Cup. And they went up against Serbia. And one of them scores a goal. And he does this. And it's the two-headed eagle. Which is the nationalist symbol for Serbian Kosovars. And FIFA officials lost it. Because it's like, you get yourself killed doing that. No kidding. It's like, gang symbols in LA, Crips versus Bloods. It's not funny. This is dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
And one guy scored 2 goals, and he going up to the fans, and he's doing this, and the opposing teammates, Serbia, the two-headed eagle. And FIFA went down there, and they're like, don't you ever do that again. So you got to be really careful. So that's it for MLB. Major League voting's coming up. I don't think anything else is really going on. My Jays need a 4th starter. They have nothing in the tank. I want them to get Paul Skeens. just give Pittsburgh $500 million here. We'll cost $1.5 billion to get Paul Skeens into Toronto. Get him to Toronto and then have to pay him. Do it, because I want him as a J, but it won't happen. So
the Dodgers and the Padres went at it earlier this week. And when at it they did. Like the managers
was there a fight?
were shoving
was
each
there
other.
was it shoving or was there an actual fight?
You know, they came out, one of the guys...
Base brawls used to be really good. They used to be a real dog.
Yeah, they're just pushing and shoving.
Yeah.
So a Padres player got popped. Tatis got popped in the hand, Fernando Tatis.
Now so he's at the plate and he gets hit by the pitch.
Yeah, he gets hit by the pitch, went down in the hand. Schmidt, the coach for the Padres, comes out. Roberts, coach for the Dodgers, come out. And Roberts gives Schmidt the shoulder type thing and knocked him back a step or two. And then it escalated, but nobody ever threw a punch. They're all like standing there type thing. Because nobody wants to get hurt. And really, nobody knew that Tatis, now he might be out in the hand. But they popped Shohei in the leg, right? You want to steal on us? Here you go. Here's one in the Charlie horse.
Yeah.
Right? And then they, but his Pages. The center, Pages. He's center fielder. He got popped one day. He was fine. He was like, whatever type thing, right? And they're like, well, it wasn't intentional. Why would we go after something like that? They get popped again the next day.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, seriously? The third game, it came like within an inch of hitting him again. And and the manager's like, well, why would we hit him intentionally? We don't know who he is. Well, then he hit a home run on him. It goes to the edge of his head. So that rivalry, and they talk about it, well, how long do they have to be scrapping like that? Because the Padres have been fairly non-existent for decades, right? And now they're becoming good, and they're kind of fighting with the Dodgers, who run the division. Right. But like, how long does a rivalry have to be a rivalry to be great?
Yeah.
What doesn't matter. They're just going at each other like nonstop.
See, the base brawls used to be, you had the farm boys, tough kids from the inner city, the factory kids, and it was war.
Yeah.
And my favorite clip, you could see it, dude standing at the plate wants to lay a bunt down, or gets high and tight, knocks him back. So he drops a bunt down the first base line. The pitcher goes to pick it up, and he just blindsides him. And by the time he gets to first base, gloves are off, and they're just going at it. They're throwing punches. Those days are over. It just doesn't happen in baseball anymore.
Yeah. One of the best is the Red Sox and the Yankees.
No, the best one was Nolan Ryan and with the White Sox.
Oh, yeah. Who was it? He threw the pitch, hit him, and then was coming at him already with his glove at him.
And then Nolan Ryan gets him in the headlock, starts punching him, and then he's the only guy to get six hits off of Nolan Ryan in one inning. And Nolan Ryan's like 47, the guy's like 29. What the hell's his name? I hit it. Anyway, whatever. Those days are over.
It wasn't Hurt, was it? No, it wasn't Frank Hurt.
No. I know it. I've seen it so many times.
My favorite was when the big scraps between the Red Sox and the Yankees. And you got old Don Zimmer comes running out there, right? He's going at Pedro Martinez, and Pedro just grabs him by the head and just rolls him onto the ground.
What else was he going to do?
You can't hit him.
He
right?
can't. He's not going to stand there and take a punch. He's like, the guy's 90 years old.
And he just used his momentum and just rolled him onto the ground.
He had no choice.
And then they're fighting around him, and Zimmer's like a turtle on his back. Right?
Guy's like 70 years old.
Oh, God.
That's
hilarious.
The first intercity game between the Cubs and the White Sox, and Przinsky, two catchers. Przinsky runs the other catcher, knocks him out of the way, and slams his hand down on the plate. Goes to stand up, and the Cubs just cold cocks him in the side of the face. Like, those days are over, man. But Jay Przinsky did not have a good reputation. So
one thing we got to touch on though too, because we touched on it before. Joey Chestnut back at Coney Island.
Yes.
Yeah, we forgot about that. We did touch on this before.
Yeah.
So Nathan's Hot Dogs does the Coney Island hot dog eating contest.
Yeah.
And he was exclusive to them. He went with another company and blew up his contract here. So the last year or so, he hasn't been. And here is the return of the champion, Joey Chestnut.
He's synonymous with the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Yeah.
Like, there's been so many, he's just owned it for so long that it's like Wayne Gretzky not playing hockey. You know what I mean? He's Gretzky to the Oilers and Jordan to the Bulls. Like, it just doesn't work anywhere else. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess there's a chicken fingers one that he beat over Livy Dunn. Yeah. Yeah.
You beat Livy Dunn. Livy Dunn went in an eating contest.
Yeah, it's celebrity eating contest.
She weighs like 95 pounds. I like
So, but yeah, Joey's Jaw Chestnut, here we go. He's returning to the Coney Island hot dog eating contest after contract dispute. I guess they've got that all sorted out.
God love him.
Yeah. So thank goodness it wouldn't be the same without him.
Joey Chestnut. All right.
Kind of
all
want
right.
a hot dog now.
Oof, I do. I'm hungry.
All right.
Okay, that's it for us. Thank you for tuning in. Off Topic with Tim and Matt, where we always go off topic. Like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks for tuning in, where we always go
Off topic.